Let me tell you something that might shake you to your core. But if you really listen, it will liberate you. You don't need anyone. Not their approval, not their validation, not their permission, not their rescue mission, not their handouts, not their love to feel worthy. Because everything you've been searching for in others, that strength, that peace, that certainty, it's already inside of you. It's already inside of you. You're not broken. You don't need to be fixed. You don't need someone to come and complete you. You were born whole, and you've been lied to by society, by culture, by your past, that you need something outside of you to be powerful. Let me make it clear. You are the damn source. See, most people are waiting for someone to believe in them, waiting for someone to give them the green light, waiting for someone to say, you're ready. Let me ask you, how long are you going to wait? There is no Calvary. There's no Savior coming. There's no right moment when the stars align and suddenly life gets easy. This is your moment. Right now, you want to change your life? Stop outsourcing your power. Stop handing your energy to people who can't even handle their own. You think you need them to love you before you love yourself? No. You think you need them to support you before you chase your dream? No. You think you need someone to hold your hand to take the first step? Hell no. Because here's the truth. Every legend, every leader, every person who ever rose from nothing did it not because of who was around them, but because of who they decided to become. They got tired of the excuses. They got sick of being a victim of their story. They made a choice. And that's what I'm daring you to do today. Make the choice to stop playing small, the choice to stop waiting for someone to fix you, the choice to stop blaming the world, your past, your parents, your partner, your boss. You don't need anyone because you are enough, but not in some soft feel-good way. I mean, you are enough in the most raw, unapologetic, unstoppable way. You are built to create. You are designed to overcome. You are wired to rise. The problem is, you've forgotten what you're made of. You've let doubt get loud. You've let fear make the decisions. You've let your circumstances write your identity. But no more. Today is the line in the sand. Today you look in the mirror and say, I decide. I commit. I rise. From this moment forward, you don't wait to be chosen. You choose yourself. You don't ask for permission, you give yourself permission. You don't beg for support, you become your own support system. And when you do that, when you finally own who you are, when you stop needing people to believe in you before you believe in yourself, you become unstoppable. So go ahead, shock the world, build that dream, transform that body, launch that business, break the chains, rewrite the legacy. Not because someone told you to, but because you remembered who the hell you are. You don't need anyone. You just need the fire inside you to light up again. And once it does, no one can stop you. Most people don't even realize they're doing it. Every single day, they hand over their power to people, situations, and circumstances that have no business controlling their destiny. They let other people's opinions shape how they see themselves. They let rejection stop them. They let doubt from someone else become their personal belief. They let the fear of judgment keep them quiet, small, invisible. Power isn't lost, it's given away. Every time you hesitate because someone might not approve, you're giving your power away. Every time you tell yourself, I'll do it when they support me, you're delaying your future, holding it hostage to someone else's timeline. Every time you stay silent when your soul is screaming to speak, you've outsourced the steering wheel of your life to someone else, and they don't even know where you're going. It's subtle. It's deceptive. It hides behind words like loyalty, respect, waiting my turn. But make no mistake, it's theft. And you're the thief, robbing yourself of the life that was meant for you. You were born powerful. Not arrogant, not loud, but powerful, deep down in your bones. That kind of power doesn't come from followers, fame, or fortune. It comes from knowing who you are and refusing to negotiate that truth. But over time, that power gets buried under expectations, under rules, under pain. You're taught to shrink, be polite, be realistic, fit in, wait your turn, keep the peace. You are conditioned to believe that safety comes from playing small, that love is earned by self-abandonment, that approval is more important than authenticity. That's what happens. You become a version of yourself that keeps everyone else comfortable. You dilute your voice. You overthink your decisions. You analyze every move based on who might not like it. And little by little, you stop living from your own center. You stop trusting your instincts. You stop listening to the voice that's been guiding you since the beginning. And the worst part? You start to believe that power lives outside of you. You start to believe that power lives outside of you, in people, in titles, in systems, in institutions. So you chase it. You chase people who have it, hoping they'll choose you. You chase opportunities, hoping they'll validate you. You chase recognition, hoping it'll fill the gap. But chasing is the language of disempowerment. Because real power isn't in the chase, it's in the claim. To stop outsourcing your power, you've got to interrupt the patterns. You've got to catch yourself in the moment you say, I can't because of them. The second you say that, you've put the keys to your life in someone else's hands. And the truth is, most of the people you're waiting on to believe in you don't even believe in themselves. You've got to be willing to disappoint others in order to not disappoint yourself. That's not selfish. That's survival. You've got to be willing to be misunderstood to stay in alignment with your truth. That's not rebellion, that's leadership. You've got to be willing to walk alone for a season so you can finally hear your own voice again. That's not isolation, that's clarity. There is no approval that can replace the peace of self-respect. There is no applause louder than the quiet of living in alignment. There is no relationship, no partnership, no friendship worth the cost of your soul's silence. People will try to project their limitations on you. Don't accept the delivered. Just because they don't see the vision doesn't mean it's not real. Just because they wouldn't do it doesn't mean you shouldn't. Just because they didn't make it work doesn't mean you can't. This is your life, your calling, your time. And if you keep waiting for someone to hand you permission, you'll be standing there when your chance passes you by. Nobody can give you what you already have. They can't. And even if they tried, it wouldn't last. Because if they give it to you, they can take it away. But when you find it inside yourself, when you stop outsourcing your power and realize it was never theirs to begin with, nothing can stop you. You become grounded, focused, dangerous in the best way. Because now you're no longer fueled by the need to please. You're fueled by purpose, by truth, by the fire that only you can feel. And once you taste that kind of power, real, internal, unshakable, you'll never hand it over again. Most people spend their entire lives searching outside of themselves for what was always within. They chase inspiration, waiting for someone to say the right thing, do the right thing, show them the way. They wait for signs, for mentors, for circumstances to align, for someone to light the fire for them. And because of that, they become addicted to the illusion that clarity comes from the outside, that direction is something you find rather than something you decide. But here's the truth most people never hear. You are not here to constantly seek. You are here to create. You are the source of your answers, your breakthroughs, your next step, your power. You are not a passive observer in your life. You are the author, the architect, the builder. And the sooner you stop waiting to be handed a roadmap, the sooner you'll realize you're the one who's meant to. Seeking becomes a distraction when it replaces doing. There are people with notebooks full of quotes and podcasts they've listened to, videos they've saved, books they've underlined, but nothing has changed because they're still looking for something outside to move what's inside. But action doesn't start with information, it starts with intention. It starts with making a choice to stop consuming and start creating, to stop being a sponge and start being a storm. You already know what needs to change. You don't need one more video to tell you that. You don't need one more motivational quote to remind you that you're not where you want to be. Deep down, you've already had 100 moments of clarity, but you dismissed them because they didn't come from someone else. You didn't trust your own signal. You thought the answer had to come dressed in someone else's voice, someone else's authority. But that voice inside you, the one you've been ignoring, it's not confused, it's not unsure. It's just been drowned out by noise. And that noise comes from years of being told that other people know better than you do. Teachers, coaches, bosses, influencers, even your friends and family. Everyone with an opinion. Everyone with a plan for your life. And after a while, you start to internalize the lie that you need them to tell you who you are. That you need someone else to pull something out of you. That you're just a potential waiting to be unlocked by someone smarter, stronger, or more experienced. That's not how power works. Power doesn't arrive from the outside. It doesn't get granted. It doesn't get unlocked. It gets claimed. It gets remembered. It gets activated by the decision to trust yourself more than the noise, more than the doubt, more than the fear. The truth is, the moment you stop seeking, you start seeing. You begin to see that the answers were never lost, that your instincts were never wrong, that your calling wasn't some hidden mystery you had to decode. It was always there. It just needed you to finally listen. When you operate as the source, you stop asking for permission to be great. You stop needing someone to validate your gifts before you use them. You stop chasing ideas and start generating them. You become magnetic, not because of what you know, but because of the certainty you carry. People feel that. People are drawn to that. But it doesn't start with them. It starts with you. You become a force when you remember that you are the well, not the bucket. The flow doesn't come from outside, it flows through you, from your energy, from your decision, from your fire. And once you understand that, your life changes. Not because the world got easier, but because you stopped waiting on it to give you something you already possess. The constant seeking ends when you accept that there is no final answer out there. There is no perfect plan waiting to be discovered. There's only you. Your willingness, your courage, your commitment, your ability to create momentum out of nothing but a whisper inside you that says, go. And that whisper, that knowing, that inner nudge that refuses to go away, that's your source code. That's your personal GPS. It may not speak loud, but it's persistent. It's steady. It doesn't beg for attention, but it demands respect. You've looked up for too long. Now it's time to look within. Because the fuel you need, the clarity you crave, the strength you seek, it's not in the next seminar, the next video, the next opinion. It's already in you, and it's been waiting. Most people live their lives waiting for someone to come along and change everything, waiting for someone to discover them, support them, push them, fix them, waiting for the right mentor, the right partner, the right opportunity to appear and say, you're ready now. But the truth is, no one is coming. No one is coming to rescue you, to save you from your own doubts, or to carry you to your dreams. That moment you're hoping for, where someone finally sees your potential and pulls you into the light. It doesn't exist unless you create it. The cavalry isn't on its way, not because the world is cruel, but because it was never supposed to work like that. You are not here to be saved. You are here to awaken. You are here to stand up, not be lifted up. You are here to rise through decision, not through rescue. And that's what makes this path powerful, because once you stop waiting for the cavalry, you start realizing you were the warrior all along. Waiting feels safe. It gives you something to blame when nothing changes. It gives you the illusion of patience when what you're really doing is avoiding risk. You say you're waiting for the right time, but deep down, you're afraid. You say you're waiting for clarity, but deep down, you're avoiding commitment. You say you're waiting for someone to believe in you, but deep down, you don't believe in yourself yet. There are people who go their entire lives in that place, standing at the edge of the life they want, waiting for a push that never comes. They surround themselves with comfort, with excuses, with distractions, and they convince themselves that their time will come, that someone will notice, that someone will knock on their door and give them permission to start. But time doesn't serve the passive. Time rewards the committed. It doesn't hand over success to those who wait. It yields to those who act, even when no one's watching, even when no one's cheering. Choosing yourself means making the uncomfortable decision to move forward without consensus. It means backing yourself when no one else does. It means building momentum with no applause, creating your own opportunities, speaking your vision out loud when everyone around you is silent. It means walking into the unknown with nothing but your own fire. And that kind of decision isn't for the faint-hearted. It's for the ones who are done explaining, done justifying, done begging to be seen. When you choose yourself, you become unstoppable, not because you suddenly have all the answers, but because you've stopped looking for someone else to give them to you. You take back the narrative. You start writing the script instead of waiting for a role. You stop asking, am I good enough? And start declaring, I've decided I'm ready. Choosing yourself doesn't mean arrogance. It doesn't mean shutting people out. It means understanding that you don't need to be chosen to be worthy. You don't need someone to validate your vision for it to matter. You don't need someone to give you access because you've realized you can build your own door. When the world says, who do you think you are? You answer with action. When doubt shows up, you show up louder. When resistance pushes, you push back harder. This shift is everything. It's the moment you stop auditioning for a life that's already yours. It's the moment you stop hoping someone will discover your light and start realizing that the light has been waiting for you to turn it on. It's the moment you take full responsibility for your growth, your choices, your path, your success. And yes, it's heavy, it's not glamorous, it's not easy, but it's yours. You stop needing cheerleaders, you stop needing validation, you stop needing the crowd to believe, because you've decided to believe before the crowd ever sees it. And once that switch flips, once you choose yourself fully, everything begins to shift. You think differently, you move differently, you show up differently. Not because something external has changed, but because you have. The people you once thought you needed, they no longer hold the power. The opportunities you were waiting for, they now come because of the momentum you created. The breakthroughs you were hoping someone would hand you, they begin to appear because you were willing to do what no one else could do for you. You're going to post a post today saying, Clay says, be grateful for what you have. And you're going to do it because you're going to feel it. And when you imagine it, the momentum you can create, the breakthroughs you were waiting for, they begin to appear because you're willing to do what no one else could do for you. You chose yourself. Nothing changes until you own it. Not your habits, not your results, not your mindset, not your life. People talk about wanting change all the time, but very few are willing to take responsibility for where they are right now. It's easier to blame. It's easier to point the finger outward. To say it's the economy, it's your parents, it's your boss, it's the algorithm, it's the timing, it's the stress, it's the past. But that blame becomes a prison. Because the moment you hand the cause of your life to someone else, you hand over the control too. Ownership is where freedom begins. And not surface level ownership. Not the kind where you say, yeah, I know I should do better, but deep, radical ownership. The kind where you stop negotiating with your potential. You stop arguing for your limitations. You stop defending the version of you that keeps you stuck and If you stop eating the version of you that keeps you stuck, you get brutally honest with yourself about what you've tolerated, what you've avoided, and what you've allowed. And you stop waiting for someone to come and give you permission to grow. Transformation isn't a light switch. It's a decision followed by 100 uncomfortable actions. It doesn't come wrapped in motivation. It comes in the mirror. When you look yourself in the eyes and say, this is on me, it comes when you stop complaining and start changing. When you stop repeating your story and start rewriting it. When you stop hoping for different results while repeating the same behavior. Most people don't lack information, they lack ownership. They know what to do. They know what's holding them back, but they're waiting for the conditions to be perfect, for the fear to disappear, for someone to come along and make it easier. That's not transformation, that's fantasy. Real change starts when you choose to show up regardless of how you feel. When you choose to take responsibility for your thoughts, your choices, your energy, your standards. It's not about blaming yourself for everything. It's about owning your power in everything. Even when people hurt you, even when circumstances were unfair, even when life didn't go the way you expected, you still own your response. You still own your healing. You still own your next step. Because the moment you say, it's not my fault, but it is my responsibility, you step into the driver's seat. You stop waiting, you stop resenting, you stop wishing, and you start doing. Ownership requires courage. It means admitting you've been playing small. It means confronting your excuses, your laziness, your fear, your distractions. It means taking a long, hard look at your patterns and asking, what part of me benefits from staying here? Because as painful as it is, there's always a payoff. Maybe it's comfort, maybe it's safety, maybe it's the illusion of control. But if you're not willing to break that cycle, you're not serious about transformation. Radical ownership is not sexy. It's not glamorous. It's not the part of the journey people post online. It's the late nights where you face your truth. It's the early mornings where you get up anyway. It's the conversations you don't want to have but know you must. It's the forgiveness you give, not because they deserve it, but because you do. It's the discipline, the consistency, the relentless commitment to becoming the version of yourself you know you're capable of being. And that version, it doesn't come from reading more books or attending more seminars. It comes from aligning your behavior with your standards. It comes from keeping promises to yourself. It comes from doing the work even when no one is watching. Because transformation isn't about changing who you are, it's about becoming who you really are, without the layers of doubt, fear, and limitation that have kept you small. You'll know you've stepped into ownership when your language shifts. When you stop saying, I can't, and start saying, I won't. When you stop saying someday, and start saying now. When you stop talking about what you should do, and start doing it. And when you say, talking about what you should do, and start doing it. Your identity begins to shift, not when you dream bigger, but when you act different. Not when you hope more, but when you decide more. No one can do this for you. No one can wake up and live your life for you. No one can heal you, build you, move you forward if you don't first take responsibility for doing it yourself. Radical ownership isn't a one-time event. It's a way of living. It's a moment-to-moment choice to no longer wait for someone else to make your life better. It's standing face-to-face with your future and choosing to meet it on your terms. Validation is one of the most addictive substances on the planet. People will shape their entire lives around it. What they wear, what they say, what dreams they chase or let die, who they become, just to get approval from someone else. They measure their worth by the responses they receive. They question their ideas if they don't get enough likes. They shrink their presence if they make others uncomfortable. They mute their brilliance just to fit into rooms that were never meant to hold their truth. And in doing so, they abandon themselves piece by piece. You were not born to be edited. You were not created to conform to other people's comfort zones. You were built with a unique frequency that is not meant to be understood by everyone. The people around you don't get to determine your value. They don't get to decide if you're enough. That's not their job. And it's not your responsibility to convince them. When you make validation your compass, you live in constant reaction. You stop being a creator and start being a performer. Every move becomes a calculation. Every decision is filtered through the question, will they like this? But the moment you start living for approval is the moment you stop living for alignment. And if there's anything I would add for you to do, is to live from, you trade your voice for applause. You trade your authenticity for acceptance. You trade your freedom for a seat at someone else's table. The truth is, most of the people you're trying to impress aren't even paying attention. They're too caught up in their own insecurities, their own fears, their own need to be seen. And the few who are watching, their validation is too unstable to build your life around. One day they love you, the next day they question you. One post they cheer, the next they scroll past. You can't anchor your identity to that. You can't let people who don't know your journey decide where your path should lead. Real validation doesn't come from the outside, it comes from alignment. It comes from doing the work you were born to do, saying the things only you can say, walking the path that's true for you, even when it's lonely, even when it's misunderstood. It comes from looking in the mirror and knowing you didn't sell yourself out for someone else's comfort. That you didn't dilute your message just to get more followers. That you didn't compromise your standard just to feel accepted. When you live from validation, your confidence is conditional. It rises and falls based on how you're perceived. But when you live from truth, your confidence becomes internal, steady, grounded, independent. It no longer needs to be fed by constant approval because it's rooted in self-respect. You know who you are, what you're here for, and where you're going. And that knowing doesn't need applause, it just needs action. You don't need a crowd to clap before you move. You don't need a green light from anyone else to go after what's calling you. You don't need to explain your vision to people who were never meant to carry it. Sometimes validation doesn't come because you're ahead of your time. Because what you're building hasn't been seen yet. Because your frequency is too strong for people who've been trained to play small. Let them be confused, let them question, let them judge. That's their path. Yours is different. Yours is about answering the voice inside, not the noise outside. Yours is about waking up every day and choosing to be fully you, even if that version makes others uncomfortable, even if it challenges the norm, even if it draws criticism. You weren't born to fit into a mold, you were born to break one, to create something new, to lead, not follow. And leadership isn't about popularity, it's about integrity. It's about choosing truth over acceptance, growth over safety, depth over attention. The more you validate yourself, the less you'll need others to do it for you. The more you trust your instincts, the less you'll need permission. The more you trust your instincts, the less you'll need permission. The more you walk your path, the more you'll attract the people who are meant to walk with you, not because you begged for their approval, but because your authenticity gave them permission to find their own. You're not here to earn your worth. You're here to express it. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be real. And the moment you stop needing anyone to tell you that you're enough is the moment you become unstoppable.